Okay, then I need to give this link to other site. There was a technical problem. Okay. There was a. Okay. Hi, Leslie. Nice to see you.
Hi.
And I don't know what is going on. There is a problem in the program. Somehow it didn't allow me to direct it to previous page, which people are there. I need to close that one, and this one is fine. Okay. 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 Okay, let me start. Today is February 10, 2023. How many days? About 4 or 5 days ago, there was earthquake in Turkey. I would like to have my initial introduction, and afterwards would like to discuss about this. Leslie, today we will not do our regular Quranic study because this issue is related to application of the Quran. Sure. And when we see there are a lot of verses in the Quran talks about the corrupt and very corrupt. And can you find something to describe some very bad societies in the past? One is corruption, the other is aggression, correct? Corruption, aggression, and
injustice,
oppression, and they do the consequences of their corruption, aggression, and oppression. A lot of natural calamities. In fact, the harm of the natural calamities are caused by humans. Yes, earthquake is a natural event. Death is natural event, and both are inescapable. We cannot escape from either of them. However, death with earthquake, under earthquake, is a choice, is a political, economic choice. And I will give you a few examples and then come here. And this is what I asked the United States and Europe to sanction the Turkish dictator, corrupt, thief-in-chief, through Global Magnitsky Act. That is not a punishment of the country. I don't want that. I don't want, but since this dictator is supported by the USA and Europe, so far have been supported by them since the beginning. He was picked as a leader of great Middle East project. But we should ask the politicians in the United States and leaders in the United States to sanction this guy. This guy is hiding billions of dollars in some islands and in European banks, and they are investing in the United States, building skyscrapers, high buildings in Manhattan through the money, by the money they stole. And let me come here, and I want to translate here because I want to show you these pictures. Are you able? What do you see right now, Leslie?
Well, I see 4 pictures. One is the mosque.
Okay, they are good. Yeah, and I just made it translate. These my tweets. Earthquakes that killed a few people in Japan are killing thousands in Turkey. On Richter scale, this earthquake was 7.7. The first one, the second one was 7.6. but this scale earthquakes do not harm people in Japan. Maybe randomly 1 or 2 people get killed. That's it. Not major collapsing buildings like these, thousands of buildings collapsing like pile of, what is it, just dust. Therefore, it is, and there was an earthquake happened in 2011 in Japan. It was a major earthquake, 9.1 on Richter scale. And in that earthquake, about 19,000 people were killed, but mostly because of tsunami. Big waves basically drowned people in thousands, in tens of thousands. However, from the earthquake, only 667 people were killed. 667 were under the rubble, got stuck under buildings that were destroyed. That's it. And that earthquake was 10 or 15 times bigger than the earthquake here, because Richter scale, there's about 10 times magnitude of 10 difference between each number. An earthquake of 8 magnitude is 10 times bigger than an earthquake of 7 magnitude. This one was 9.1. And therefore, it shows the human element, the government, the corruption. And I will show you some numbers, some pictures. This is just one of the picture destruction, like pancake. This is Turkey, just recently. Yeah. Here, Turkey knows that it is on fault lines, these earthquake lines, and it is known. Despite this, Turkish government defied God's law, tried to build shabby, horrible buildings, which contractors stole from the materials, and they built not following the codes at all. And if there are 2 floors, they add 5, 6 extra floors. Even they cut the pillars of big building, apartment buildings, the first floor, in order to create more spacious room for banks, for markets. You cannot believe this is not anecdotal event. It is happening everywhere. And this is happening in front of the eyes of the government, because government is basically living on bribery, on getting kickback, and a lot of corruption channels. Therefore, here it is. This is what Turkey is spending the money. So far, Turkey, after the earthquake in 1999, my dear friends, imposed a tax called earthquake tax. Supposedly it would be temporary, but it's stuck. People are still, in 23 years, they've been paying this tax. So far, government collected $34 billion. With Turkish money, it is huge. Imagine in Turkey, half of the population is living on minimum wage, which is about $300. $300, 300, that's it. This is monthly pay, not daily, not weekly. And imagine how impoverished country under this corrupt religious government, and then $34 billion they collect from these people, they say we'll use it to prepare against kind of disasters like earthquake. What they do? They eat it. They finish the money on each other. The incredible, the worst corruption in history. I think it is a world, you cannot see such a corruption. Here is this one. This guy, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who is my former friend, we were in the party together. I know he was a coward. He was also up for the money and for the position, for fame was there. That time, even during youth time, we didn't have much kind of, for certain events we come together, but I didn't have any affinity to him. And even in high school, I know him. And thank God I parted my ways with him and his croonies around him. And I know how corrupt he is, how ignorant he is. And look at these people. Of course, I'm not, how do you say, I'm not claiming that people do not have any part in this. I think people deserve it. In Turkish, there is a proverb says like an idiom, it is like cattle and lid. They fit each other. People are corrupt and ignorant, and therefore the government is corrupt and ignorant. They complete each other in creating hell. And this is the palace he made for himself. But this is the biggest palace in the world in terms of the vastness of the land that it is built on, and the number of rooms, 1,150 rooms. And each room is furnished with the best material in the world. They imported the best furniture from around the world. Like every room has silk carpets. There are a lot of stories on this. And the menu of food menu is some of the names I never even heard. It's exotic menu. This is poor country. Imagine 50% of the people live on $300 per month with their families. And in this country, he built the biggest mansion in the world, 1,150 rooms. Why? How did he do that? He was initially waving the patchy shirt of Hazreti Omar. Omar, the second Caliph, was so just, was so caring about people. He wouldn't wear new clothes. His shirt was patchy, and he wouldn't use the government's candle. And he would use government's candle daytime, nighttime, he would have his own candle. With these stories, he came this power. Waved the holy book, he's a Sunni mushrik. He waved the holy book, and later, when the holy book was not enough to make people more stupid, he added the flag. Now he's one hand waving the holy book, the other flag, and people go crazy. It is really, there is an impact on people's IQ level. Holy book talk about God, and religious people, because their religion is based on what? Following their parents blindly, is not a philosophical question for them. They never question, they never research about their religion. They just follow blindly. And therefore this guy do that, and it is the same epistemology, the same methodology. Follow the crowd, follow the loudest one, follow the strongest one. And this is, after this one, he made for himself another mansion, 300 rooms in Marmaris. This is in Ankara. It is called, initially he called it AkSaray, means White House. But later when people start making fun of it, he called it Külliye, changing the name, but the same corruption. And later 300 room palace in Marmaris, the best place in Turkey. And then in my hometown, he build another one. I don't know how many. He has more than 7 private jets. One of them is called Flying Mansion, $500 million value. I think 450 to $500 million value. It was valued, and incredible. His wife, Emine, went to Belgium, Brussels, and over there, she went to a store, closed a store, a gift store, very fancy one in Brussels. And since it is the media, European media, they are free, they are not scared of this guy. They were able to enter. There was police barricade around it. And they entered after she got out with a bag, Hermes brand. It is a Greek goddess. She purchased, she basically donated money to Greek goddess, the Hermes brand. And then they learned, they got the price of it. How much she paid? 49,995. I remember these numbers. It is incredible. One single bag, 49,995 euro. It is close to $1, the value. Imagine people's income is not even 300 euros monthly, 50% of the people. How many times of people's income? Anyway, now, This one I give information, but I want to just close talk about, ask you your, okay. This one about, this person talks about BIM, says, our apartment under it, there was a market. That market, in order to expand the floor space, they cut some of the pillars. And later I learned this is not anecdotal. They are bribing Erdogan's people, and they get free. And by the way, Erdogan six times declared amnesty for crimes against building codes. Therefore, those contractors, they built in violation of building codes. Each time, six times, they forgave them because they were getting money back to get people's vote. And people were clapping this. Therefore, these people are not kind of innocent people either. They build very bad. They declare war against God. They say, God, we love you, we worship you, but we are going to go against your laws in nature, like laws of gravity, like laws of static and geology and all these engineering. And okay, here it is. Look, this is where people are under the rubble. They are dying. And for many days, they didn't even show up the government. Government show up, people crying. My child or my father is under the rocks, under the concrete, everywhere concrete. Nope, no one there. And then this is mobile masjid. This is for prayer, mobile for prayer. People are hungry. They are dying in the cold. They are under the rubble. They need to be saved. They bring this one. It is show off. And here he started threatening people. Basically, he's created censorship and declared martial law in 10 cities. Basically, they don't allow people to see to talk about their corruption and all these horrible things. And people finally, these are his constituency in Adıyaman. People, anyway, the governor there and more than about 67% of this city voted for him. And when they see 4 days, they don't show up, supposedly the, Red Cross, there it is Yeşil Ay, the green crescent, it's called green crescent. And they didn't show up, and people basically dying. And later comes the governor, talks about how they are great, and people, his own people, they protested him. Incredible. And this government is strong, is very strong when it is to kill people. For example, they did not ask the military to help in these rescue, operations. And 3-4 days later, they allowed some part of the military. But in killing, this Erdogan has been especially killing Kurdish people in Afrin, in Rojava, in Syria, or in southern, eastern part of Turkey. He mobilizes tens of thousands of soldiers and tanks and jets to kill people. Massacres, very powerful government. But when it comes to saving lives of people, you don't see them around. Therefore, don't cry for them. I cried a lot, but on the other hand, I see this government is so corrupt, and more than 20 years they are in power, and people are either supporting this or are scared. To me, being coward is not an excuse. Cowardice is one of the worst things. It is a immoral act. But a lot of people, because of religion and because of jingoism, Turkish flag, they vote for him. Okay, I don't want to go over this one. Translate. This is one of his former deputy, I'm sorry, member of Congress. She is attacking the opposition party, the president of the mayor of one of the city, Istanbul. He's there. He wants to help. In fact, he brought his people equipment to help the rescue. They kicked them out. Who are you here and stuff? Look. He's a member of Erdogan. They don't allow people come to help other people. Unbelievable. The ignorant, and they rejected many help in the past. Like Elon Musk offered free internet through satellites. They rejected. In fact, they need it. The most important thing in rescue has been Twitter, and even they banned, they censored Twitter for a while.
So, sorry to interrupt you, Edip. The reason why they don't accept the satellite internet is because they cannot spy on the people. It's the same thing here in Egypt. Satellite internet cannot be spied on. So that's why they don't, these tyrannical governments never accept it. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah. And this guy here.
Bugün daha rahatız. Yarın daha rahat olacağız. Daha sonra inanıyorum ki daha rahat olacağız.
He says, we are today very comfortable. Tomorrow will be even more comfortable. The following day will be more comfortable. He's talking about comfort. People dying in tens of thousands, more than 100,000 people injured. We don't know the number of people under the rubble. People are incredible suffering. And this guy says, we are comfortable, we are good. And then what did I say? I said, he says, we are more comfortable today. We'll be more comfortable tomorrow. Later, I will believe we'll be more comfortable. Of course, you are comfortable, Erdogan. The world's largest palace, which you built with the tax of the poor people, is comfortable. Air conditioners in 1,150 rooms are comfortable. Your 7 private jets are comfortable. It is not on the food menu. You are so comfortable. Okay. Anyway, let me one more thing share with you. This is a mayor after the earthquake of 1999, major earthquake. He built a small city, strictly implemented the building codes. He didn't allow more flats than allowed, and he didn't let bribery and other things. And in the earthquake, this city and following earthquake, major earthquake, this city, nothing happened. All other cities around, hundreds and thousands of buildings collapsed, many deaths, major disaster. And this city, not a single destruction. But despite that, the Turkish people knew this, but they didn't care. And these are some of the future city I'm suggesting them. We should not be reconstructing in the same zone. It is already on, I'm sorry, I'm coming back. It is on the earthquake fault line. Therefore, it is already destroyed. To move all those concrete and stone, all this steel from that, and repair all these streets, it is much more expensive than building a new city. I said there should be a lot of research and study. The best of the minds should come together to find the best places that are not on the earthquake zone, and plan a city that is city. Right now, it is not city. Istanbul, they turn it is basically a hell of concrete. Everywhere concrete, because they make money from constructions. The government get kickback from, they have 5 big construction companies, and they gave them all major construction, government and other people, housing for people. Government subsidizes them, and then they get kickback to Erdogan and his family and croonies. They make billions of dollars from this. And therefore, in Istanbul, you see, go to neighborhoods, everywhere concrete, top high buildings everywhere, not a single breathing park inside the city. Rarely you see. They destroyed all the parks. No space, people cannot move, children cannot play. Okay, nice to meet you people. I don't want to go on rant too much. I am fed up with them. Yes, therefore, when you are going to, people are during this time disaster, don't help, don't support, don't send money to government. And you can unmute yourself if you want to talk. Don't send money to them because they are basically stealing the money. So far, they have 21 years without mercy, with incredible, infinite appetite they have been eating. They are the most corrupt people on earth. And they use it in the name of God. Look, here, two numbers. The amount of money allocated in 2023, in annual budget, allocated for AFAD. It is this organization that goes rescue people in times of major natural events like earthquake or hurricanes and stuff. It's called AFAD. It's like Red Cross. And 8 billion lira, I think lira. And the money that is allocated to religious affairs, there is a government supported religious affairs, 100,000 imams, they get their money, their salaries from the government, suppose the secular government, what kind of secular? And it is about 36 billion. 36 divided by 8, more than 4 times more than the money needed for this organization to help people. And everyone knew, all the scientists, they say there will be major earthquake. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. And all they expected, big earthquake right now is expected in Istanbul. It will be massacre. It will be not tens of thousands, I think hundreds of thousands people. But what they do, they allocate more money to these magicians, like Pharaoh's magicians, to fool people, to make people stupid so that stupid people can support their killers. Honestly, it is, I am saying it's not exaggeration. I have seen people on social media, I can know about them a little bit, and sometimes I even investigate about them. They are poor people. Some of them maybe they are hungry, but they are like lion in defending the biggest mansion in the world, or 7 private jets of Erdogan. Unbelievable. They are so against themselves, so stupid. And the IQ level of whole Turkey is gone down to 86. I don't really give much credence to IQ tests, but I see it because religion, 2 hormones. One is religious hormones, the other is nationalistic hormones. One is symbolized by Holy Book, like Donald Trump got Bible in his hand, you remember? And then the other by flag. These 2 things throughout history turn people to evil and intoxicate them, basically reduce their critical thinking faculties to close to idiots. And this is exactly what he has been doing. He spends much more money to 2 things, to nationalism, promoting jingoism, and also religion. Okay. Do you have any input? You heard a lot about right now Turkey. And
yeah, if I could just share, I remember as you were speaking, there was an earthquake in Japan some years ago at Kobe. And I remember reading about a report where one section of the city remained standing. And it's not that I'm trying to promote Canada or Canadian products, but it turned out somebody did some research why this particular section did not collapse, like the one in the town of the mayor who followed the building codes. Well, they discovered that the houses were built in a way that anticipated 2 types of earthquake. not just the sort of lateral earthquake where the earth moves left and right, but also the vertical type of earthquake where the earth moves up and down. So this was an extra sort of precaution that the Canadian company formed, and it paid off. Every single building in that subdivision remains standing. So it just goes to show that if you do things by the book, yeah, then you will be safe or safer. And of course, we have also, as Muslims, the book of Allah, and we likewise need to do things according to the book of Allah. But we also have to do things according to the books that outline the proper procedure for completing a task. And so it looks like here, in the case of Turkey, I'm speaking as an observer from the outside, neither of the books were followed, really. As you pointed out, the safety of the people was not really a high priority, and there were other priorities, unfortunately. And so the result, what was the result? The result was a disaster. So,
I like it. The Book of Nature was basically...
yeah.
Violated
Yeah.
with all their thing, and also the book of God, moral instructions in the book, mashallah.
Yeah. So I'll just conclude by saying that once again, speaking if something like that happened in Canada, I think it would be considered a case of criminal negligence on the part of the authorities.
It is 100% criminal. It's very obvious. I want to just show you one more thing here. I just very fast. This is Timur Soykan. This guy is a beautiful journalist in opposition, but he wrote a thread on these earthquakes with the supported by archives, by videos, here it is. I'm just going very fast on few of the links, the translation. Can you read the translation? Here?
Yes, I can see that translation.
Is it visible?
Oh, yes, very clear.
Okay. Okay. And then here it is. And then this is other one. Unbelievable. This guy, the way talk, how they wasted money on what? Earthquake money, how they finish it. And Turkey is one of the most taxed countries, huge taxes. I'm not going to read, but I want you to, you may click on space to stop it and go. Okay. And look, supposedly they are doing earthquake preparation. So stupid. This is one of their show off. With $34 million, they are doing this once a while in the cities. They are preparing for earthquake.
Looks like a headache preparation.
And this one, the government considered the intervention after the earthquake, but we saw that it destroyed that place as well in the 6th February earthquake. Everywhere has been reached. Lie, not reached. I'm going to finish. By the instruction of our president, whenever they do things, basically without his instruction, they cannot do. Basically, he hijacked all the government institutions under his control, and all yes people around him, all the smart people, people with the knowledge, intelligence, they left him. They left the government and stuff. Many escaped to Europe, and all the inadequate, useless people around him, and they all start with their talk by the instruction of our great president, dear leader. Unbelievable. Yeah. This is important. For the record, I'm putting here for those people who want to learn about the Turkish earthquake, so that they go, this guy's tweet on 10th of February 2023, Timur Soykan. He's basically chronicling all the corruptions and crimes committed by the government. I don't know how his translation quality is, but it is okay. They will be understand. And that they ask people not to do politics, but all they do politics. They're all promoting their own party. Okay. Look how they are exploiting it. This is government and this is states machine, whatever it is, and they put their party, AK Party, Erdogan's party. But it is everywhere around the so-called Muslim world. All corrupt, all kleptocrats, everywhere. This is that politician, how...
You know, this corruption, I have been doing a little research in this area as well. And by the way, I was a friend of Syed Hussein Alatas here in Malaysia. He was the rector of the top-ranked university, Islamic university in the world, University of Malaya. And he wrote extensively about corruption, like I said, 4 books. But what I'm getting out of my reading is that when I was reading Imam al-Ghazali's Deliverance from Error in my early days, there was one sentence there that really shocked me. The rest of the book seemed to be okay, but the sentence said that a Muslim cannot say a bad thing about another Muslim, even if it is true. Later on, I found out there's in fact a hadith to that effect. So Imam al-Ghazali was just repeating the hadith. The hadith says pretty much the same. It's in Sahih Muslim in a book on backbiting. So now I was shocked because it seems to me that this view of, that statement that we cannot say anything bad about another Muslim, even if it is true, basically prevents us from speaking against injustice because it prevents us from being witnesses in criminal trials against criminals, because in order for me to testify against someone who, let's say, broke the criminal code or who took a bribe in order to cut corners in construction, I would not be able to testify against him in a criminal trial because that would require me to say something bad about him. So I think this hadith and also Imam al-Ghazali's advice, really bad advice, I think, opened the door to corruption wide. And that is why I think we are seeing so much corruption in the Muslim world, you see, because the morality, the ethics of the Quran, which requires us to stand up as witnesses for justice for Allah, even against ourselves in Surah Nisa, verse 135, and I believe verse 8 in Surah number 5, these hadiths and al-Ghazali's view that we cannot say anything bad about another Muslim, even if it is true, goes directly against the ethical teaching of the Quran, you see. So because people have turned away from the Quran in matters also like ethics and now are following the hadiths, this was the result of that was more corruption in the Muslim world, more disasters, and it just confirms, let me land here, that in order for the Muslim world to recover, we need to go back to the Quran and make it our top source, and perhaps in legal matters the only source of legislation. Thank you.
MashaAllah. Yeah, exactly. The Quran saves from being subjugating yourself to other humans. Every person has dignity, equal dignity. God says, do not be a servant of another person, slave of another person. Only submit to God alone. La ilaha illallah is declaration of freedom. Therefore, if there were free people in Turkey, they wouldn't be making these guys such a tyrant. And I tell them, I have a Turkish statement. I say, "Nerede devlet yüce, orada millet cüce, orada ümmet cüce." Wherever the state is high, their people are low. Their people will be midgets. This exactly has been throughout history. Therefore, the people in Turkey, they worship state. When they state is the biggest idol in Turkey. I don't know in other countries. Of course, in North Korea is the same state. And therefore, when they say state, oh, state can kill anyone, even children. Majority of Turkish people, they say Fatih Sultan Mehmet is a great guy. Fatih Sultan Mehmet, the second Mehmet who conquered Istanbul. And there's a lot of praise of him. They give his name to a big mosque in Istanbul. The new bridge is his name. He is the idol of the people in Turkey. And Erdogan's idol, number one idol. And who is this Fatih Sultan Mehmet? He's a psychopath. He's a paranoid dictator. These are all his three qualities. He killed his two brothers. One of them was less than 2 years in crib by smothering them, what's called suffocating them, so that he will not grow up and become a rival to him. And he got fatwa, religious fatwa from Sheikhul Shaitan. Sheikhul Islam, I call them Sheikhul Shaitan. Unbelievable. And people say, yeah, it is okay, because for the state to be powerful, not be divided, it is necessary. It was necessary. Necessary killing of a baby. And what is necessary?
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
And Edip, he also commanded his children. He said it behooves them that they do the same. So Sultan Mehmed started the tradition of the new Sultan killing all his sisters, all his brothers for hundreds of years. In the Ottoman Empire, Sultan Mehmed told his children that you should do the same that I've done, so that the state becomes stable. So he even commanded his children to kill their siblings. Monster.
One of them killed 19 of his relatives, children and brothers, and 19. Unbelievable. Yabu Sultan Mehmet, who supposedly got Khilafah from Ayyubids in Egypt, that guy killed his father and brother. And these are murderers. What is you are killing? Otherwise people will fight each other. There will be many people will die. Well, here it is. The Quran says the affair is based on what? Consultation. Instead of heredity, say consultation, democracy. You will not be killing each other. You will not be forced to kill your child. Why you are killing your child? Say, okay, I don't deserve this because my father was Sultan. Let's have an election. You could do that. That was done before. Anyway, but this is exactly the nature of people. People are ignorant, very also, what is called zalim. What is the English?
Wrongdoer, unjust.
Wrongdoer, yes. Majority of people are very arrogant. They are racist. They are very hedonist. Unfortunately, when they call the West, they are not Muslims. Goodness sake. The Western world, morality-wise, is much better than people in my home country. I know it. I know them.
And you know, this killing of children, it goes directly against the command of Allah, where Allah says,
وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ.
Exactly. Don't kill your children. So how dare these people go against the Quran like that? And that those fatwas that they issued, they based it on the verses in the Quran, completely misinterpreting them, which say, fitna ashaddu min al-qatl and fitna akbaru min al-qatl. This is a real abuse of the book of Allah. This is
fitna is kind of attacking people, aggression, and creating oppression and slavery. This is the fitna. But it doesn't mean, you should qatl. Well, prefer either of them. Both of them are evil. Oh my God.
So you are right. These people, they sound like the Hizbu Shaitan, quite frankly.
Yeah, I call them Sheikhul Shaitan. Ahmed, nice to see you. You are from Egypt. Our countries have been infected by the same virus, unfortunately. Ignorance, religion basically is dogmas.
Definitely.
Blindly following whatever is told.
When I see you complain about Turkey, it's so funny for me because Turkey is far ahead in terms of open-mindedness compared to Egypt. So this is it's really sad when if you come here and see how people are.
But in Turkey, there is a certain kind of population. There is, but they are minority.
Yes.
But maybe 20-30%, I would say, they're okay.
Yeah.
But there is also great interest in Quran alone, but still group under a lot of threats, maybe several 100,000 people, but the government is very ferocious because the religious clergymen, they once in a while, they target us. In fact, recently, one of them on TV, on the most watched TV program, they gave him more than 2 hours. And then he declared the fatwa against me towards the end by lying against my father. His name is Jubbeli Ahmed. It is here somewhere. Let me. But I mean, yeah. But in Turkey, it's not easy. But by the way, we have some good news from Indonesia. In Indonesia, especially academics, they are very interested with the message of the Quran alone. I have recently seen about 20 or 30, it goes, still continues, 30 papers, academic papers written on Quran and reformist translation. And almost all of them are very positive, very surprisingly positive. Therefore, there is something change happened, but over there, from top down. In Turkey, it's mostly from bottom up.
Same in Egypt, it's bottom up. Yeah. In Egypt as well, it's bottom up. So what I did actually is I had a friend 1 year ago actually come to me who is a bit troubled. He has some, he's feeling depressed and stuff. So I actually gave him a copy of your translation, right? I'm like, hey, this helped me out. I had issues in belief of God and stuff. So I was just being a Sunni robot, trying to hide my disbelief by following the rituals harder and harder. But then I told him, then I read this, alhamdulillah, and finally, I because I always wanted to believe in God, but I just couldn't. So I was just lying to myself. But when I read when I opened my mind to the Quran, I'm not going to give credit to your translation. I'm going to give credit to just reading the Quran alone, and your translation helps augment that, So I just gave him a copy, and then 1 year later, I go visit my friend, and there's a group of no joke, 50 people, and they go make their congregation together. They're all Egyptians, and they invited me to start making congregation Friday together instead of going to the mosque and listening to, hey, don't beat up your wife like this, beat her like this, or whatever, the stupid stuff they say. So we started making congregation as of last Friday. Unfortunately, I got sick this, but it's bottom up is what I'm saying. Is bottom up. I
would like to talk to you about it, inshallah, after this one. And this is the guy I was talking about. And do you hear him?
Ödüm kopuyor.
I cannot hear him.
Bir anda kalp dönüyor.
Now, yes.
I can. Hidayet çıkar, soyutlanır hidayetten. Bir de bakarsın gavurluğu bulur. Edip Yüksel'i görmüyor musun yani?
Don't you see
Raşid Halife diye birine peygamber diyor. Adama diyor seni işte şiirin buyur kendini sayıyor bilmem. Sadrettin Hoca'nın rahmetullahi aleyh oğlu.
Sadrettin was my father. He's referring to my father. He's lying against my father, that fatwa. And then here says, Hidayet akılla bulunmaz. Means guidance cannot be found by reason, by akıl. If it were, Edip would be guided. Anyway, so ignorant, basically, he's trying to bash akıl, reason. He says Edip is very, very reasonable person. He's very using his akıl too much. He's alim and his akıl. This guy is well known. He has millions of followers in Turkey. And imagine, he's accusing akıl, reasoning, which in the Quran, throughout the Quran, is promoted. And God says in chapter 10, verse 100, Inna Allah yaj'alu rissa ala alladhina la ya'qilun. God commits people who do not reason with what? With the trouble and evil, religious.
Filth and confusion.
Filth. I love it. Exactly. Filth and confusion. MashaAllah.
Brother Edip, I want to ask you and other gentlemen, ladies in the audience, because I've been doing a little bit of work on this area too of Akal. We know that Sahih Bukhari doesn't have any book on Akal or justice or freedom or ethics, But I want to ask, this bias against akal, this bias against rationality, do you think it could be understood as a sort of a manifestation or expression of fanaticism, or you think it would be an exaggeration to say that the opposition to akal is a form of or an expression of fanaticism? What do you think, or anyone else?
Well, it is the clergymen who are in cahoots with Sultan. They didn't want people reason. They liked people, ignorant people, follow any stories, accept any stories they tell them, religious or political stories. Therefore, for them, people who reason are dangerous people. They will be in opposition because they see their corruptions, their lies, their theft. Therefore, in order to operate very easily without opposition, the best is turn people into what? Into animals, to be herded. Therefore, they call themselves, we are the herders. You are our animals. Ra'aya they called. We are ra'i, we are the shepherd, you are the things. Or they call themselves muqallid in mazahib. Muqallid means what, you know? Do you know,
Monkey.
Ahmed? Better more
Blind
word.
follower.
Monkey.
Huh?
Muqallid in Arabic can mean monkey and means follower and monkey as well.
Yeah,
I think.
It is follower in mazahibs. It is not our words. It's not our kind of, we didn't make it up. They call themselves, they say there are mujtahids, these are alims in mazhab, madahib, and then their followers, they are muqallid, you are muqallid. All these people, there's no mujtahid left according to them. Therefore, they are all muqallid. Muqallid comes from the word qallada. Qalaid is plural in the Quran, means what is called, they hang around like Indian people, around the animal garland. It's called garland. Yeah, garland, hang an animal with garland means it is sacrificial animal. It is marked to be sacrificed. Therefore, qalaid, muqallid means an animal that is going to be sacrificed. What kind of animal? Unlucky animal, not even lucky animal. You know, there are animals who could enjoy in the barn some life. No, these are the ones who are destined to be sacrificed. Muqallid.
And it's part of taqlid, the procedure, the methodology of traditional Islam, taqlid. And according to even people like Jabir Awani, who was a Sheikh of Al-Azhar University and also the chairman of Triple IT Institute in the United States in Virginia, he said taqlid is one of the worst things that ever happened to the Muslim Ummah. And Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman supports him in that. And by the way, there's also a book by Dr. Omar Ramahi, he's in Canada. The book is called Muslims' Greatest Challenge, 2019, Choosing Between Islam and Tradition. And in that book, very briefly, he has a few paragraphs about the bias against reason. And he said the traditional Muslims traditionalists had a derogatory term to refer to the people who use their akal. They call them aklaniyun in singular.
Oh, really? First time I hear it.
And the singular is aklani.
Correct.
And you are not supposed to use your reason. So my question is, how on earth can you follow the book of Allah if you don't use your reason? Because what enables you to understand, how can you follow something you don't understand? And how can you understand it without using your reason? So these people, when they prohibit the use of akal, they're actually prohibiting you from becoming a Muslim. This is, again, the activity of someone who is a part of this, what I call, or people call Hizbu Shaitan. They are going completely against the Quran when they are, belittling reason in this way. Thank you.
I am going to close this before 1 hour finishes. We don't have Lambda and Linda. They are here. They didn't talk. Tanweer did not. If you want to say a few words in a few minutes, we have 3-4 minutes left. Anyone wants to talk? They can. Do you have any comments?
Apologies for not making an actual contribution at this session.
No problem.
I have been listening to the various comments people have been making. I just felt, that to talk about corruption in Turkey or anywhere else, the same applies to nearly, all the Muslim countries. And it's very depressing. So I found it very depressing to even talk about the corruption, because the corruption is inevitable when you leave and abandon the Quran, which the Muslims have done en masse. They are using dual systems, which is borrowed systems from the West. So there's a bit of capitalism going on, and the rest is to appease the people. They show the book, as you were saying, Edip. They hold the book up to just to pacify the people and let them know all the Muslim symbols they use. So symbolically, they are Muslim. In character, they are Western. And in reality, they are what they call humiliated, because they are not successful either way. And this is exactly what God promised in his book. So when people do this, when people with the book in their hand do this, they are the lowest of the low. They become worse in state than the non-Muslims, because they deserve it so. So that's what I want to say.
God bless you. Nice meeting you here. Next week, the same time, we'll continue Quranic studies. And this is about really how God's sunnah is. God punishes people when become immoral and corrupt, arrogant. And this is one of the examples, I believe that. Thank you very much. Nice to see you, Carl and Linda, Lambda, Ahmed, Leslie,